Kale, first question's for you. What is the biggest mistake you have learned from in your experiences that you would want others to avoid?
Okay, there we go. Biggest mistake for me, I would say, is just trying to do too many things at once. There's always the next shiny object that kind of can pull your attention away from, something that's maybe more important. But I think in the beginning, when I got in real estate, I was experimenting a lot, but I just was jumping from thing to thing a little bit too quickly. And, I think one of the sayings I always hear is a jack of all trades is a master of none. So I just like to focus on, some of the more important tasks and not get caught up in the next shiny object, the next thing that comes up on social media that you see. It's really hard to it's easy, I should say, to get drawn into that and get distracted. So I think that's one thing that in the last, 2 or 3 years has really locked in on, is just staying focused and not dabbling in too many things at one time. So
I loved that when we did the interview, you said it's a long career. Like, I'm not doing this just for a couple of years. I'm doing this for the longevity. So find something that you love to do, right? And so I think that if you don't like to make calls, if you don't want to, do something that resonates with you that is going to make that career enjoyable. So I love that you had said that.
Yeah, absolutely. I did. I tried the cold calling. I tried the door knocking. I absolutely hate it. I won't do it. And, my mom's been a realtor for 30 years. Her name's Dee Oliver, if any of you have ever worked with her. And one thing she told me when I first got into the business is, she did tell me to experiment with different things and try different, prospecting methods. And I did. I tried them all, like I said. But, she said that I don't like cold calling either. I think I got that personality from her. She's not a cold caller either. But she said, I got into this business to enjoy it. I'm not, if I had to get on the phones for 4 hours every day, I wouldn't like it. So for me, it was finding what I like to do and focusing on that, which for me right now is social media and reaching out to my sphere, things like that. So, yeah.
Ryan, what do you feel like is the biggest that's Dylan's question. Just a second. Okay. What do you feel like is the biggest obstacle for agents today?
From my perspective, what I'm seeing as the biggest obstacle is people being stuck or stagnant. Right? Homeowners that know they don't want to be in their home for the next 10 years, but don't know how to solve that from a financial perspective. And home buyers who either cannot afford I call it the home, right? Everybody, typically a lot of first-time home buyers, they want to buy the home. And I think as real estate and mortgage professionals, we need to educate them to buy a home in order to work towards the home. And it just takes a lot of intentionality to do that, right? And so the advice that I give and what we preach is the consultation is the most important thing we can do, because it's our opportunity to educate, it's our opportunity to influence, it's our opportunity to create and design a path and a plan, whether it's a home owner or a home buyer. But it's not sales, right? It's not pushy. It's very much consultative, and that takes a really unique approach. And we don't get trained that way as real estate or mortgage professionals. Right? We get trained on what to say and how to overcome objections and how to talk about the market and how to deal with transactions and how to find people who already know they want to buy, sell, or finance a home. I think we need to change that, because that's a small number of people. I'll actually give a little test here. Imagine your past client calls you and they say that they want to buy, sell, or finance a home and they want your help. Raise your hand if that's a really great call to get. Some alligator hands coming up. I would encourage you, that's a really bad call to get. Anybody know why? Yeah. You want to say that in your microphone? Yeah. He said, because we weren't reaching out to them. I genuinely believe that if someone has gone through the mental gymnastics of deciding that they want to buy a home in this environment, or sell a home, giving up their low interest rate or their free and clear property, if they've already done that work, they should just find the cheapest lender or the cheapest realtor they can find and just get the deal done. But if we're so proactively engaged with our clients, or we're the ones helping them decide when to buy, sell, or finance a home through our consultative approach and our strategy, then we are worth every dollar. But the last phone call you ever want to get is when someone says, I've made a decision, now I just need help.
Solid. That was good. Wow. Nico, if you could change one thing about your business between now and the end of the year, knowing it'll help you grow, what would it be and why?
One of the things that we did change at the beginning of the year and that we're still implementing is kind of putting a stronger emphasis on working our CRM and incorporating theme days into our operation. So I'm a big believer in scheduling. I live and die by my schedule, so same with my wife too. Anytime I have an appointment during the weekday after 5, she gets a calendar invite so she knows exactly what's going on. It makes life so much more efficient and clean. And so what we've been doing is incorporating different theme days on the schedule. So for example, on Mondays is our VIP day. So we have a list. I'd like to get it to 50. Right now it's at about 23 clients, but it's, past clients that we've worked with that are a good source of referrals for us. And ideally try to get, 2 to 3 referrals a year from each client. And so we break it down. So on Mondays, we call a handful of our VIP clients and, try to bring some value to the table, whether it be something you see on social media, phone evaluation of their home, or, just checking in, see what's going on. Any vacations, what's happening, man? You want to grab a happy hour? And then Tuesdays, what we're doing is, we're all of our current pending business. So we're going through, and anything that's under contract, we're following up with lenders, we're following up with title companies, inspections, repairs, making sure the train's on the tracks to close. On Wednesdays is a mix between our new construction, business, and then also prospecting, future business, people that we made contact with that we haven't heard back from, or, just going through past connections we've had that haven't materialized any sort of real estate transaction. And Thursdays is a little continuation of the prospecting as well. It's hard to kind of get that done on Wednesday with the new construction, and then Friday is just a cleanup day. What did we not get accomplished? What did we not get done? What do we need to follow up with? And so that's something that we just started doing that very actually within the past 30 days, and it's been nice to bring some sort of structure, because as in real estate, it's it's hard to have a completely structured schedule. Things change, appointments move. You get everyone's like, when they'll time block and say, well, I show houses from 10:45 a.m. to 3:30, then from 3:45 to 4:30 I'm prospecting. You get a call at 4:15 that someone wants to see a $2 million house. You're getting your ass in the car and you're gonna go show the $2 million house. Let's be honest. So it's nice to have a little bit of controlled consistency in the schedule.
And I love that you're evaluating your business and realizing, okay, this is a change that we have to make, and you're implementing it, and you're just going to keep pushing it. So always evolving.
Yeah, and it's super uncomfortable, and I hate making those phone calls, but I have a kind of a motto. It's a Post-it note on my computer. It's eat the frog first. So in the morning, I just do the the worst, least possible favorite thing I could ever want to do right away, rip the Band-Aid off, and move on.
I also do that, but I feel like the longer you do it, it gets easier, right? Okay. Kale. Okay, this one may be multiple questions just because it is a wide range. So if you're starting your career over, what would you do? What would you do?
Well, I think I touched on this a little bit on the first question, but I would try to prospect and do all the different things just like I said. But for me, I did too many things. I don't remember who said it. Was it Ryan that said there's 100, maybe not Ryan, but 192 different ways to prospect. I don't remember who said that, but I would feel like I was trying all 192 of them, and I got overwhelmed. And I think I started out in the business not as well as Alicia did with 33 deals, but I did 5 in my first year. And I think I was just too distracted, like I said. So again, going back, I don't want to sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but that's just me. Is I did too many things at one time, and I didn't focus on the few that I should have. So
the few that you do, though, would be like your social media has been really strong. So I would like to kind of maybe dive into that. Like, where's your focus on social media? So if somebody's wanting to kind of dive into that, I know you're trying to create some things like brand and stuff. Like walk us through a little bit more about your social media and your thought process to it.
Yeah, well, the thought process behind social media is to just stay in front of the people that could potentially be buying or selling for you from you one day. So and it's not necessary. And it's when I talk about building a brand, we're more than just agents, right? It's very apparent when you go to my social media that I sell real estate, but I do much more than that as well. You could tell, like, fitness is a passion of mine. Some fashion things, like family. Like it's a brand that people can resonate with. And I'm not one of those guys that has a niche, and I think there's great agents out there that have a niche. Like some people, like, post new construction and that's all they post, which is cool. But for me, I like to build a brand and be able to and have people be able to resonate with me. I've had people that I'm to the point now where I get referrals from people that I've never even met, which is amazing, and I'm very grateful for that. So I think it just comes down to just building that brand and being a relatable human being that people can know and trust before they even met you.
True. So with like the whole NAR stuff, is there anything you're going to change with how you're branding yourself? Is there anything you're going to look at adapting or adding to your branding with, trying to stand out differently or be more an advisor role?
Yeah, well, I think number one, just doubling down on social media and doing even more of it. But number two, just letting people know what our value is, like Ryan was speaking about earlier, is just providing more value, more information. And I think just some people, like his Uber driver, they have no idea what is going on with the NAR thing. They just see the headlines. Again, what Ryan said, they don't even read the article. They just see the headlines and freak out. I think we all do that. But so I just think it's just more educating, because a lot of people don't understand how we get paid and what we do and how we do. And if we got paid by the hour, we would be millionaires. So I just think it comes down to just more education for me.
Ryan, if you were to switch and become an agent tomorrow, where would you put your attention?
It's got to be data. We hear a lot about prospecting. We hear a lot about calling and connecting with your clients and time blocking and reaching out and being in front of your clients. With the right data about your clients and your future clients, you don't ever need to really create small talk again, right? Every call is about something meaningful in that client's life. It's about that they just had a son or daughter go to college, right? It's that their 5 and 7-year-old are now 7 and 9, and we know that, and it's highly likely that they don't want to share a room anymore, right? So we can have a phone call and start to talk about that specifically, right? They just inherited a property because they had a death in the family. We can call specifically about that, right? With the right data, which again, everyone has on our clients, unfortunately, except us as an industry. Prospecting really just becomes value driven, right? It's just, I'm going to have, every day we get a list of everybody in our database that has a life event or who is actively searching on their Real Estate Wealth Digest. We get a list if we see their assets, trending downwards, if their income starts trending another direction. We know everything there is to know about our clients' real estate and financial livelihood. We just get to have those conversations. And those are hyper meaningful conversations. So I'm not saying that doing the outreach and stuff is a waste of time. It's just better suited if every phone call has a real purpose. But data is the only way we're going to be able to accomplish that. So I would focus on data if I were to switch, what I would say.
Nico, how do you create consistent flow in a rocky, fun market?
A few things. We're very goal-oriented in our office. So on each of our desks, we have our annual goal, and I break it down by month on production and then with a total. And this year, actually, I switched it up a little bit. I used to just do a 12-month, but kind of like Rachel, I procrastinate. So I'd be like, it's March. We got plenty of time. We're fine. And then you start to realize it's like November, and you're like, I don't know where I'm going to find $17 million between now and the end of the year. So what we did this year is we broke it up in 6-month intervals, and it kind of it's a little bit easier to digest. And so that's something that we're looking at every day too. Then I bonus everybody off of if we're hitting our goals or not. And the other thing is just, we are extremely dedicated to our process and how we handle new business and how we handle current business. So from whether it be going on to a listing appointment or putting a home under contract, I always tell, clients that every real estate transaction, it's like a fingerprint. They're all somewhat different and unique and they have their own identity, but the core of it and the base of it, it's pretty similar. And so by having that consistency and that level of organization that we follow throughout the process and the transaction is made life a lot easier, and it helps navigate, because it's a very emotional business. It's a very emotional investment. And so the more that we're able to control and the more that we're able to know and get in front of and control those emotions is going to help alleviate a lot of the stress and help alleviate a lot of that ebbs and flow of the business.
Okay, only this is off the cuff, but so the team gets bonuses if the production is there. Do you heavily encourage the team to be an extension of you for sales? Like, just because I'm the realtor doesn't mean I'm the only one on the team that, you know what I mean? Like, have you tapped into that?
Yeah. So, I say team. So I'm technically an individual agent, but I have, 2 people that work with me. Peyton, raise your hand, say hi. That's Peyton, everybody. So she's my licensed assistant. So she helps with a lot of the process, the paperwork, and being really proactive in what our clients' needs are, and then also what I need in order to do my job. And probably the most important thing is she holds me accountable, and she pushes me outside my comfort zone, and to the point where it can kind of be annoying, but I really, really enjoy that for her. And then we have Cole. Cole, raise your hand, say hi. So Cole's our marketing director. He handles all of our social media marketing and all content creation and what goes out. And so it's not necessarily a direct prospecting for them to go out, but it's ways that we can innovate our business, ways that we can think outside the box, and just looking at things from a different perspective and a different opportunity. And I'm always open to if we've been doing something for 7 or 8 years and you can find a better way to do that and a more efficient way to do that, bring it to the table. Let's see how it works. So it's not directly reaching out to people, but it's putting things in place that are to draw the attention of others into the company.
I got a question for you. I'm going to kind of tee up a little bit here, off script. I don't know if you've been asked this. So, and this is more for agents that are interested in getting into social. Like, number 1, how many Instagram followers do you have? And then number 2, teeing you up a little bit. Was there one video that went viral? How did you get to that point? Like, someone's that's struggling, maybe like myself, with not many followers. Like, this is all for me, people. Sorry. Yeah. But no, seriously, like, honest question, because that's impressive. Obviously, your Instagram following. Like, what? Like I said, maybe one video, or how did you get to the point you are at today?
I missed the followers thing.
Yeah, so I believe right now I have almost 35,000 followers on Instagram. TikTok, I'm at about 90,000. It's just consistency. I've been really consistent even before I got into real estate. Like, I remember back when I worked at a company called Eat Fit Go. Some of you guys remember them for the short time they were around. I guess they do have one location still, but kind of when they opened about 2015 is when like social media was starting to pick up, and I saw that. I remember Gary Vaynerchuk years and years ago said, by 2024 or something like that, 80% of the content's going to be videos. Well, that's literally happening right now. So I started to jump on that bandwagon before. It's not too late. Like, people are still growing their accounts very, very quickly, but it just comes down to being consistent. It's work. For me, instead of cold calling for 4 hours, I spend that time on social media, right? So it is damn near a part-time or a full-time job. I've had a few posts go viral, but I think it's just because, the algorithm likes when you post consistently as well. So, the biggest thing is just being consistent and finding your thing. Like, Nico cracks me up because for St. Patrick's Day, he wore a big green thing and blew it up, and his videos crack me up. So it's just like finding your thing and just doing it and being consistent with it. And you got to study the market too. I get my ideas from other people. Don't reinvent the wheel. Go to my content. You guys can all go to my content and steal it. It's fine, right? It's just like getting a tattoo, right? You Google tattoo ideas and you replicate it and make it your own. It's the same thing. So it's just, I don't know. Did that answer your question?
No, yeah,
Cool.
I think that was good.
Perfect.
Can I ask a question on that? Have you been able to quantify how much of your business comes from social media versus kind of standard stuff?
Yeah, about 80% of my business comes from social media. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Drop the mic on that, man. I gotta find a question for Miss. Do you have a question for Ryan?
Not off the top of my head, but Ryan, if you Ryan, I guess just maybe your perspective. Obviously, we've talked value a lot, and moving forward, I mean, I guess recommendations on from today. Again, we kind of touched on, hey, what's one thing you would implement into your business tomorrow? I kind of asked you that if you were to start being an agent, would you maybe recommend a certain, if I were to ask you that question, you would recommend something to these agents like, hey, what is the one thing that you could implement tomorrow?
I would say if you can implement this tomorrow, it would help significantly. I know that coming up as of July, we're going to have to, have someone sign essentially a buyer agreement before working with them. Have one of the most lights out buyer presentations that exists in the marketplace today that clearly articulates how you're going to take that client from where they are to where you see they can go. Like, treat everyone as if they were at their fullest potential and they're going to accomplish that potential because of you. Because no one else is going to do that. Most real estaters are going to say, well, you should use me because, I'll work 24/7 and I'll, show you a house whenever and I'll negotiate well on your behalf. Like, you could literally write out everything that every realtor is going to say. But what very few, like most people won't even have a defined buyer presentation, but the ones that do and the ones who can clearly articulate and make that client feel that 10 years from now, the decision you made to work with our real estate group is going to fundamentally change the generational wealth course of your family's life. They'll choose you, I promise, and they should, right? Because they don't have anyone else in their life that's offering that. And so I would get to work on that immediately. And if I can help, reach out. We teach on this. We practice it. We role play it every day. We know what it looks like to be able to look someone square in the eye and say, we're going to be the most valuable team of people in your life for the next 30 years. All right, and that's going to move the needle. That's coming. Right? That's what the real estate professional of the future is going to look like. So if you have to do it tomorrow, start there from a buyer perspective at least.
Nico, was there one event or maybe year in your career that grew your team or yourself and into your business into what it is today?
Yeah, probably have to be, when my father passed away. I don't know, my dad was in the business for 35 years. We worked together every day, best friends, he was my boss, my mentor, everything. And, all of a sudden he was gone and there was that moment of realization, like now it's, what am I going to do? Cause it was, I had no, I had two choices essentially. Kind of the way I looked at it was, you can go down the, a path of, woe was me and this is all going to fall apart and I can crawl into a hole and, that's it. Or two, someone's got to do this job. Someone's got to pick it up. And, there's only one person that can do the job and it's going to be you. And you have to look yourself in the mirror every day and you have to live with that decision. And so that's kind of when it just, I went from kind of being a kid to an adult pretty fast, and there's a lot of responsibility and a lot of people, we had a lot of people that were invested in us and counting on us, and somebody had to take charge. And so there wasn't really, it was kind of more of a, there's no choice, you kind of have to do it. And that's kind of how I've inadvertently kind of created my business. The question I get asked sometimes, like in a tough market or when things aren't going well, how do you stay motivated? It's like, well, I just don't have a fucking choice. Sorry, I don't have a choice. I'm a big believer in investing and kind of pushing yourself, depending on where you're at in your life stage, obviously, but pushing yourself and taking yourself outside that comfort zone. So you kind of get to the point where, like, I don't have a choice. I have to wake up. I have to make it work. I have to go find the clients. I have to sell the houses because we have a land investment that we're doing, and we need $25,000 in the next 60 days. So where the hell is that going to come from? We got to go find it. We got to figure it out. And that's kind of been a big motivating force for us. So I always say us because it is a family effort. Every time I hire somebody, bring them on a staff, I always tell them it's a giant family. So whether, that's kind of the big criteria, you got to fit in and you got to be fun and you got to treat each other like a family. So that's why we say like we and us and stuff like that.
Kale, just because it is your strength, is there any apps you use, resources? It sounds like you maybe time block, like a strategy that that people could take away. Is there anything like that that you use for your social media?
yeah, so to edit my videos, I use an app called CapCut. For some of my videos, like my more recent ones, where like I did a couple where I just talk about things in Omaha. I talked about all the new exciting developments coming to Omaha. I talked about 5 famous people from Omaha. Those videos with more graphics and more editing, I hire that out. I have a guy overseas. If any of you want him, he's amazing. He's like $35 a video. Over there, that's a lot of money for them. So my time, I'm getting back a lot more time by hiring that part out. But my house tours, things like that I do those myself. And so as far as time blocking my social media, I spend 2 days a week creating the content, and I plan out my content the week. So every Sunday I sit down and I have categories in my on Instagram, on TikTok, where I save videos, because I have in my schedule, I have time where I am actively looking for content that I can recreate. So I save those in different albums. Like I have 2024 real estate ideas. So every Sunday I look at that album and I figure out what I'm going to create that week. And then I'll record it that week, and then I'll probably post it the next week or a few days later. So it's like I said, it's in the schedule. It has to be, or it's not going to get done. Especially as real estate agents, like Nico said, if somebody wants to see a $2 million house at 4 o'clock, you're going. So I'm very diligent with my schedule when it comes to social media, because that's how I get my business. So it's just planning. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So I'm very particular on that, and there's a couple of days a week where I create the content, and then I have time in my schedule where I edit it as well. So you have to put that in your schedule, especially being real estate agents, especially with the spring and summer markets coming up. We're going to be busy. You gotta put it in your schedule.
I mean, that's true. I don't know if that's a lot of time. Like, that's a huge dedication, but it's obviously showing that 80% of your business is coming from social
Well,
media.
I like doing it. It's fun. It's fun for me. I get to go to a beautiful house that it might not even be my listing, but I'll get, permission from the seller's agent to do it. And I get to go see a house that I probably wouldn't be able to see otherwise, and then I get to edit the content and critique myself. And I get pleasure out of it. It's fun for me, so.
All right. So Leanne is solo agent. So Ryan, for you, what's your thoughts on, and she does very well, obviously, thoughts on her, solo, maybe more, not to say old school, that probably sounds bad.
Community driven, like very prevalent in them.
Yeah, compared to a team approach. I mean, just your thoughts on maybe those two different routes that an agent could take, I guess.
I've always been a big fan of creating opportunities for clients at scale. An interesting thing when I was coming up in the business, I remember there's another guy who started around the same time I did, and he was leaving the office one day, and he comes into my office and he goes, "Man, I see how big your team has gotten and just how crazy your business is." And he goes, I don't want that. He's like, "I'm just going to stay small and just stay me." And at the time, I was like, "Okay, thanks." Like, I don't know what to do with that. Fast forward 5 or 6 years, he's one of the top mortgage professionals in the country. He's got a team of 32 people. And I remember talking to him, and I was like, "Do you remember when you told me, like 5 or 6 years before, that you just wanted to stay small?" And he looks at me, he goes, "I couldn't." And that's when I realized, like, if you're really good at what you do, if you're really valuable, and if you're in high demand, you have 2 options: create scale to help more people, or turn people away. And you can turn people away in other ways than just saying, "I can't work with you. I'm oversaturated at the moment." You can turn people away by not being visible on social media. You can turn people away by not reaching out to them proactively. Like, you can just ignore a large part of the community, and you can take what comes to you. And it's really more of a personal decision, right? To me, I believe that what we do is going to change this business. So I want as many people as possible to know about it, and I need to keep firing myself from what I did yesterday so I can do something new tomorrow. But if I was the type of person that was totally okay with a certain level of production and consistency and performance, then I would probably act differently, right? So I'm sure she has a reason for why she's keeping it close. I've never met her, so I feel strange saying that. But I would just encourage you all that, there is a huge power in building something at scale, and it creates a lot more fulfillment in your life when you see other people succeed as well. So for me, that's been a really cool thing, is to kind of create the path for people to come.
This is a perfect question then for Nico. Kind of getting out of your comfort zone, hiring people on your team. It's scary financially, all the things. So walk me through the benefits of that and taking that leap and kind of going down that path.
No, yeah. I think, one thing we do as independent contractors is we don't really kind of quantify our hourly. There we go. Rate. And so we distract ourselves by doing non-income producing things. And I think you get to a certain level in your career now. At day one, you probably don't need an assistant right out of the gates. You're probably going to be okay by yourself. But, kind of the rule of thumb that I've always kind of lived by is, if you're doing 20 to 30 transactions a year consistently, you need an assistant. You need an assistant that's going to help you do the non-income producing work, because at the end of the day, you're the rainmaker and you need to be out there making it rain. And so it's calculating, what is your worth, and then delegating. Like for me, I don't like doing social media. I think I created one reel and it took me almost an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I was just at that point, I'm like, this isn't for me. Like, I can't do this. So that's why I brought, that's why we have Cole on our team, because it's something that he's extremely passionate about, something that he went to school for, it's something that he studied, and it's something that he brings a lot of energy to the team to do. And, with Peyton, she's there to help me with the non-income producing items, like putting together, contracts, by helping me show homes sometimes, by, kind of staying in touch with inspectors and clients, and more importantly, keeping me accountable. That's probably the most important thing that she does. And I'm really bad at keeping myself accountable. And so it's finding those types of resources that can help make your business more efficient. You don't need to be a lone ranger. You also don't need to have a giant mega team if you don't want to. I think there's a happy medium somewhere in between, where you can find a handful of individuals that are like-minded, that are dedicated and passionate about what they do, and they can help you achieve your goal and help you do what you love to do. Then I think that's worth all the money in the world.
Can I ask a off-the-cuff question then too, as
Nope,
a real
sorry.
estate agent?
Nope.
So I noticed on social media you're diversifying your portfolio. Did you buy a mattress company or something?
Yes, yes, we did. We're slinging sleep now. It's pretty awesome.
But I mean, we all are in a business where we're churning so hard year over year. I love that you're trying to look at something for like residual income and like, where can I make some money where maybe I don't have to work so hard when I'm 60 or, you know what I'm saying? So I love that. And so any insight into that jump into doing that?
It was a huge learning curve. One, because we're a franchisee, so we're dealing with it's a small franchise that's just growing, so that's kind of nice. But you're dealing with some kind of corporate America stuff, and then that's when I soon realized why I can never work in corporate America, because some of the things they do just makes me bash my head against the wall. But it was awesome to be challenged as far as a learning curve goes, because this industry is something that I've grown up with my entire life. I've lived and I breathed it, but to completely dive headfirst into an industry where I knew absolutely nothing. I didn't even know what kind of bed we had, what we slept on. And so it was very fascinating to learn about a completely different operation, but also it's exciting to create something with a good friend of mine and to watch it grow and prosper, and just now also to have more influential people in our lives, because that just brings on a whole new level of staff and personalities that you get to meet, and it's just been it's been really exciting. I really enjoyed it a lot. It took a lot of time away last year for sure. That took a little bit more time than I thought, but it's now that it's kind of up and running. It's cool to watch it go.
Is there going to be more like opportunities for you to get into some more residual income opportunities?
We're always looking for residual income opportunities. We know last year too, at the same time we were doing the mattress store, we actually closed on our first piece of development ground where it's the first time we've ever taken a piece of raw ground from a field to housing. So that's been, I've been around new construction my whole life too, but new construction from a buildable lot to a house is totally different from, you know, taking a piece of raw ground to buildable. So that's been awesome to learn and kind of see that process. It's extremely long. I'm not a very patient person, so it's been, you know, something we've worked on for years and years and years. So that's, you know, that's been very exciting as well. So just but it's always one of those things. We're always looking. You know, we're always, you know, what opportunities are out there? What can we do?
Any other questions, guys, for our panelists before we wrap up?
Well, first off, you do a great job on Facebook and Instagram, but TikTok is a little bit tricky. I just actually got under contract on a new construction house from a client that I got from TikTok. But once you train the TikTok algorithm to push towards Omaha, you'll start to your videos will start to get more to the Omaha people. I think I mentioned that I did some exciting new developments and things coming to Omaha. On Instagram, it did really, really well. On TikTok, it didn't do as good, but it still got 30,000 people, and most of those viewers were from Omaha, or from Nebraska, I should say. So yeah, once you train the algorithm, it just takes consistency. But TikTok is a whole different beast. But because most people think that way about TikTok as well. So I think that's where an opportunity is, because people are like, oh, TikTok is a little bit different than Instagram and Facebook, so I'm not going to focus on it. Where I see that as an opportunity, which is why I've been posting more on TikTok, because I see less people on it. So all you should get on TikTok. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's funny because when I first got into the real estate, I remember when me and my mom would work together in the office, I would be sitting on my phone going through social media, and she would get so pissed off at me because she didn't think I was working. But little did she know that I was working. And so I had to kind of retrain her brain and her mindset about social media. And now she's seen my success with it, and she's like, she understands. Now she's been a whole lot better on it. She doesn't do all the cool videos and stuff that I do, but she's found her own sort of thing where she feels comfortable posting. So I would just say, especially for, you know, the little bit older generation, is just find something that you're comfortable consistently posting. You don't have to make anything crazy. Most of your clientele will be maybe not so millennial, so you don't need to create content directed towards them, which my mom's business is mostly, you know, I would say 40 and up. And so like, you just got to find what works for you. Like, I just saw this probably 65-year-old woman on TikTok, and she like will sit in a kitchen at a house, and she will sing some sort of song she created. I'm not saying you have to do that, but my point is,
Can we see
yeah,
it?
it works for her, and she goes viral. I mean, her post has thousands and thousands of views because she's found her thing. So my point with that is just find your thing and just be consistent with it, and it'll work for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it definitely it took a while. There, funny you bring that up. We in Dropbox, we actually found a folder from I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago where I tried to do my first video, and it kind of looks like a hostage video I'm in. It's like the most uncomfortable, cringy thing, and it was so painful to watch. But I think what helps is when you take that step and you're just authentic and your true self on social media is the way that the response you get from people. Videos that we post where it's not 100% perfect and it's who we truly are and our personality get the better response from the ones that are more structured and more serious. And that's at the end of the day too. People want to work with people that they like. And we're all hardworking, we're all motivated, we're all dedicated. That's great. But at the end of the day, it's going to really be your personality that draws them in. That's going to attract people. So you should be resonating that across social media because at the end of the day, that's what's helping grow your business and helping to be so successful. No, not at all. I'm serious. Like, it was extremely cringy to watch, and it was just me swearing at myself, and I was sweating. It was very uncomfortable. So you just have to do it repetition over and over. And you don't have to do crazy long videos. Do a 15-second reel. Do something in your car. And then if you make a mistake, leave it in there. It's fine. People enjoy that. Nobody's perfect. So just baby steps, and then you'll start getting ideas, and they'll start to spiral. The next thing you know, you have 17 apps for editing and 42 apps for monitoring all your algorithms, and you'll be totally involved in it.
And please don't look at your views and get discouraged either. I mean, it's really easy to look at your views and say, I only have 300 views and then get to sad. But could you imagine speaking in front of 300 people? I mean, that was kind of intimidating. So, I just wanted to throw that out there too, because a lot of people will they'll compare themselves to other agents and things like that. Or, I just saw a TikTok this morning about some girl that said, I did $10 million in 3 months. And I look up where she's at and she's in California. Well, the prices of their houses are double what they are here. So I kind of got damn, what am I doing wrong? And then she's in a different market. So just don't compare yourselves. 300 views is a lot. Don't get discouraged.
Consistency is key. Just post on a consistent basis. Don't post too much. Just consistently. If you post too much, the algorithm, you probably know better too. If you post way too much, the algorithm can kind of work against you a little bit.
Yeah, I only post maybe 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
I mean, more than that is, you also don't want to overwhelm yourself either, because that's a lot. So.
Just a nice, consistent, start with, I'm going to do 2 days a week. I'm going to, one thing that we're doing is at least 3 times a week, we're going to post on our story. I'm going to post a reel at least twice a week. And then you slowly just start kind of building it up. And then that's how you really create a good following.
Cool. Well, hey, how about a round of applause for this second panel? Thank you guys. Appreciate it. We're good to go.